Hi, my name is Aaron Fullan, and I am one of the composers for Adventures in Odyssey. Now, before we take a behind-the-scenes look at the music I wrote for the recently aired episode Always Home, I want to briefly share the story of how I landed the opportunity to work with Odyssey in the first place. No, really, I promise it will be brief. If it isn't, just get my attention and ask me to move on. How? I don't know. Throw a shoe at the screen or something. That should do the trick. In August of 2018, I received one of the most exciting and memorable emails I've received to date. It was from longtime Odyssey sound designer Jonathan Crow. He heard from a mutual friend of ours, former Odyssey sound designer Mark Drury, that I had expressed interest in writing the music for future Adventures in Odyssey episodes. Little did he know how drastic of an understatement that really was, because I, Aaron Fullan, am obsessed with Adventures in Odyssey. It's true. Ask anyone who knows me. I was homeschooled, so I could literally listen morning, noon, and night, and I did, often. If my parents couldn't find me, all they had to do was turn on Odyssey, and I'd crawl out of the woodwork. Makes me sound more like a termite than a composer, but that's okay. I consistently wrote fan letters, sent in drawings of all the Odyssey characters, I even sent in a voiceover demo reel, and received an incredibly kind response from the executive producer at the time, Paul McCusker. I wasn't sure how or when, but I knew someday I wanted to be part of the incredible work Adventures in Odyssey was doing. Fast forward 20 plus years, and hundreds of shows later, I am honored to officially join their ranks as a music composer for the show. So back to my story. Jonathan Crow arranged a trial of sorts where I composed 4 or 5 music cues for an episode they were working on at the time that had a broad variety of emotions, moods, landscapes, etc. After the trial, I received a call from Jonathan and was informed that my music was warmly received by the various members of the production crew and that I had passed the test. He then arranged a call with executive producer, that's a hard word, David Arnold, and despite my starstruck condition, we had a wonderful discussion about the history and mission of the music of Adventures in Odyssey, particularly the music of John Campbell, the most prolific composer for Adventures in Odyssey. John is a very dear friend and musical mentor of mine, so it was a thrill for me to use some of John's old themes from the early episodes of the 80s and 90s for the first show I scored, episode 884, Always Home. Before I even heard the show, Jonathan Crow said, "Aaron, you're gonna love this show." He was absolutely right. When I finally heard it, I was through the roof excited. Luckily, we have great insurance, so it was an easy fix. The episode addresses the death of Whit's oldest and dearest friend, Tom Riley. And as I listened through the voice tracks, my mind was spinning with ideas of how to incorporate the music of old shows, specifically shows that featured Whit and Tom's friendship, in a new and refreshing way. And that's exactly what I did. I used musical themes from both the Mortal Coil, episode 211, album 16, as well as Recollections, episode 19, album 1. Near the end of episode 1 of The Mortal Coil, Tom is sitting by Whit's hospital bed and delivers a really powerful soliloquy of sorts about the realities of death. It's one of the most moving and poignant scenes in Odyssey history. As I listened to the scene in Always Home, where Whit is telling Bridget about his friendship with Tom and the difficulty of losing him years prior, my mind raced back to that scene in The Mortal Coil. The roles had reversed. Whit had survived his scrape with death and was now enduring the painful loss of his very best friend and one of the most beloved characters of Adventures in Odyssey. So let's take a listen to the scenes side by side so you can hear the correlation between the two. Here's the scene from The Mortal Coil.
You did a good job on your death program, Whit. Too good a job, in fact. You made a program that gives just a taste of what life after death is for a Christian. The reunion with loved ones, the warmth, the beauty of going to be with God. I don't know how you did it, but you did. You made it beautiful and attractive. But that's the problem, Whit. Now you correct me if I'm wrong.
And here's the same theme used 28 years later in Always Home.
You know, I can't count the amount of times I sat here in this very booth with my very best friend. His name was Tom Riley. Tom had to get up early to work his farm. So oftentimes we'd meet up for coffee while it was still dark out. Just to be together, and talk and pray.
You don't meet with him anymore?
No, he died some time ago.
Oh.
Yeah, today's his birthday.
The second instance of theme throwbacking, I just made that up, was from another turning point episode in Whit's life, Recollections. This show focused on the death of Whit's beloved wife, Jenny, and the relative inability of Whit to cope with her loss. Although the episode takes place before Tom and Whit develop their close friendship, we get a sneak peek at the somewhat rocky start to that friendship in this episode. And we also get to see a very raw and rare picture of Mr. Whitaker as he experiences the heartache of loss. Yet again, I found it very appropriate to use the same musical theme John Campbell wrote to underscore Jenny's death and update it a bit to underscore the final scene of Always Home, when Whit and Connie share a quiet moment of remembrance. To be honest, the scene brought tears to my eyes, even before sound effects and music were added. For those of us who have been fans of the show since its inception, this moment was the closure that many of us were looking for. Up until this point, Tom's death hadn't really been addressed. So to hear his name again, to relive the long history of his friendship with Whit, Connie, the rest of the gang, it was so good for the soul. So again, let's take a listen to the scenes and themes side by side. Here's the clip from Recollections.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm afraid it's gone too far.
What?
The disease causes the kidneys to deteriorate. There's been so much damage, there's nothing more we can do.
Oh, does she know?
Yes, I told her.
How long?
I think you should go right in.
Hi there.
Hi.
And now, let's fast forward 32 years to Always Home and listen to the very same theme.
It's Tom's birthday.
Yes.
Are you okay?
Well, I am. It just hits me hard sometimes.
I know.
There, that should do it.
You know, I'll finish cleaning up. Why don't you go home?
Actually, you know what I'd rather do?
What?
I'd like to sit in that booth with you and just talk for a while.
Okay.
And there you have it, a little sneak peek at my first experience scoring an episode of Adventures in Odyssey. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you caught the musical connection I just told you about, and tell me what your favorite Odyssey musical moment is, okay? Thanks so much for watching, all you wonderful people you. I can't tell you what a thrill it was to play that ever so memorable 7-note motif at the end of Always Home. It serves as a wonderful reminder to all of us lifelong fans out there that as long as we hear that theme over the airwaves, we are truly, and always will be,